released today, so I don't know if you saw
Yeah,
that. There's Le'Veon Bell gets released today, but I guess the biggest homer headline for me has to be, you know, with the game being on Thursday, it was great to see Mr. Lamar Jackson get his jersey retired in Louisville. So overall, it was an okay weekend to be a Ravens fan.
All right, so I think we are back. My mom is saying, "Yay, it's working." That's great. It ruins the idea of having. We had other ideas for the show, and this cord was going to work. And again, we recorded something earlier with some music just to test that, and it worked beautifully. But when you go live, nothing goes right. So we will mess around with that maybe after the show and figure it out. But we are back with the old blue snowball. So back to the old form. So we'll make it work. So yeah, your Ravens stunk.
Mm-hmm.
That was my main takeaway of what I was unable to listen to.
Everybody
frantically moving cords around.
Everybody said it. I mean,
yes.
It was,
because it's true.
It just such an up and down season with them. So either they're on or they're off, one of the two.
But I think this proves one thing. Home team on Thursday night rules all. Right?
Well, we'll get to that here with our picks a little bit later.
But I've learned not to go against that trend. All right, my homer headline, which you didn't really give a headline. I guess I as somebody that works in the newspaper business now, I'm used to headlines and stuff, and then you don't really give a headline. Like, need some help in the back or defensive backfield. It's not a headline that you put on there.
Well, they did.
Teach you.
Well, we were talking about my power rankings a few minutes ago, as I don't like to. My punctuation in my English, that's why I teach math. I'm just going to say, I'm going to be blunt. I started doing math stuff when I was like 8, 9 years old, dealing with stuff with my mom and dad's business. So, I mean, I did math things early. English was not my forte. Still not my forte.
No.
I don't want to help with English classes. Give me science, history class, and math classes all day long at the middle school. I'm fine with that. Don't ask me to sub in reading or in English class.
I'm still curious why this didn't work. I'm so confused right now. All right, so my homer headline is Mike White is not right. He's not the right choice. For everyone that was trying to make fun of me, when Mike White came in there and made the big comeback and beat Tennessee, and then had that big game, Wilson beat Tennessee. It was when he came in and beat Indianapolis. That was
Do you know what you're talking about?
No, I have no idea. I'm so confused by these cords right now.
Those cords have thrown us off.
Throwing me completely off. When the Cincinnati comeback, and everyone was making fun of me. Oh, there's a quarterback controversy in New York. And I came on this show the Tuesday afterwards. Said, absolutely not. I think I was proven correct on Sunday. As Mike White goes out there, throws 4 interceptions. 3 of them were not even close. You just see where the ball lands and where the nearest receiver was, and you're just wondering what he saw.
Right.
And I had said before that the only reason that White was performing well for New York is they changed the game plan. They kept everything right at the line of scrimmage. His average passing attempt was 3 yards. They started to try to stretch the field a little bit, and he just could not do it. So very, very rough day for him. 24 of 44, 251, 4 interceptions. Buffalo, unsurprisingly, completely just kicked the crap out of the Jets, especially after Buffalo loses Jacksonville last week. I had made the jokes with a couple of friends of mine of it's not good. The setup is not good for the Jets because they can't come in there and sneak in because that's what Jacksonville did. And now Buffalo is going to be out ready for blood. And I was just happy that the Jets didn't lose by 30.
So I'm going to throw in some numbers, though.
Okay.
You said, Mike, your team dealt with the quarterback situation. I think you have another problem just like Baltimore does. And it's all in the backfield. And I don't know if you obviously had to read the notes because
which backfield?
My defensive backfield.
Oh, defense.
And your defensive backfield.
Okay, defense. I was going to say Michael Carter's fantastic.
And I was doing some research on mine as I was trying to figure out, how much everybody has just sucked and how much Baltimore's given up in the pass is they're last in pass.
Yeah.
Giving up 283.3 yards. They are the worst in the NFL.
Yeah.
But number 31 is the New York Jets at 283.2.
But there are reasons for that.
A tenth of a yard.
Yeah, but there are reasons for that. Other than the cornerbacks for the Jets have stunk. They're absolutely terrible. Anybody coming into the season would have told you that. I think for me, that's why I didn't have the Jets winning a bunch of games. I was hoping for 6. I no longer think 6. But the cornerbacks are very, very young. That's why the Jets drafted like 4 of them in the draft, just hoping to land on 1 or 2. The other reason is the best safety for the Jets, Marcus May, out for the year.
Right.
So now you have nobody in that secondary at all. And they're not getting enough pressure on the quarterback on top of it. So then you're leaving that young secondary out there to die. And that's exactly what's happening. It's a rough team, and I'm still hoping to see signs and stepping forward. I've said on here multiple times, I don't care wins or losses. I don't care if the Jets finish, what are they now, with 2 wins? So if they finish 2-15, I don't care, as long as I start seeing signs of improvement.
Right.
We're not seeing that right now, and a lot of that is injuries, and a lot of that we're not seeing Zach White now, as he's going to come off of his injury, and we'll see how the end of the year goes. But it'll be interesting this Sunday. I mean, the Jets play Miami, so Miami does have that big bounce back with Baltimore, but this NFL year has been so weird week to week.
It's been any given Sunday. We even talked about that, and we're seeing that again this week. You know, we laughed last week about the loser pool and all that, how many people did it. Same over half this week, and it just Carolina comes out and does really.
The Jets have 2 wins. Both of those 2 teams were the number 1 team in the AFC at the time. And so it's, who knows, man.
So I'm going to throw one more out at you about your team.
Yeah,
and it was just because of
nobody else wants to hear about this team, so let's hurry up and move on. But let's go.
How about Robert Saleh's comments back to Rex Ryan about all of that? Course too. Yeah. So
I honestly didn't see it.
Yeah, Rex Ryan commenting about how bad they played, and Saleh basically said, "Well, you know where to find me."
It's going to be a rebuilding process.
Right.
Robert Saleh was not left much on this team. So I'm not going to blame Saleh yet. If it looks like this in 3 years, then yeah, absolutely Saleh was the completely wrong choice. But again, I don't care if they win 0-17 this year. I just want to see improvements as we go. And like another winless team, I don't know if they're showing, maybe the rest of the team is showing signs of improvement, but Jared Goff, what has happened to him?
Yeah, he had his worst game as a Detroit Lion. As I put that in there, I think he only had 114 yards, I think.
And it's only because they went into overtime.
Right. And, but they do snap their 8-game losing streak.
Sure. Actually, I saw something. I forget who sent it to me. Did you know Detroit is undefeated in the month of November?
What?
Yeah. They tied this week, and they had a bye week last week.
Well,
they have not lost in the month of November.
Not yet. We'll see. We'll see how it happens this weekend.
It's the NFL for you. You just never know.
Any given Sunday. I mean.
Well, that's weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's doing my ears too.
Everything is falling apart. I don't know if that's messing up on the thing too, but
crazy.
This show has made me ready for Thanksgiving break. Let me tell you that right now. We'll talk more about the Alliance Steelers game as we go. Let's get into some NFL news, and the one that I found really interesting, and I know he's polarizing, and I know a lot of people hate him. I absolutely loved watching Cam Newton score 2 touchdowns on his first 2 plays back with the old team that did not want him, and how happy he was. And I know he gets a penalty for him shouting "I'm back" for 3 minutes after he scored the first one, but I don't know why people hate this guy at all. Does he dress weird? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do other people dress weird? Yes. Who cares what the man dresses like off of the football field? I don't think he is disrespectful on the football field, but he gets such a bad rap. Everyone just piles on him for not diving after that fumble in the Super Bowl and then leaving the press conference after getting the same question 47 times. I don't blame him for that. I mean, I do blame him for not diving on the football, but we're going to get to another quarterback that did something even more egregious in his game. But it's just, I don't know. I like Cam Newton, and I know it's not the most popular opinion, but I loved seeing him come back after the Carolina win. We want nothing to do with you. We're going to find a better quarterback. Oh, wait, we couldn't find a better quarterback. Please come back.
I don't think he's the same as what he was years ago.
No,
F/9, because there for a few years, I think, we go back to how many times that you and I have played in the same fantasy football league, and how bad he is even playing then and what he was able to do. So it's just crazy to think about where he's at, what he's going to do, and how he's going to take control of this team over the next couple of weeks. Now they'll have another week full in. Mm-hmm. What's Matt Rule going to do? I mean, how are things going to look? So
he's going to go to Cam Newton. That's just how it's going to go. And right now, Carolina's a playoff team.
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
The NFC is so top heavy right now. Carolina Panthers are currently a playoff team. They'd be the 7th seed, right?
I believe so. But the thing about it is you look at all of the teams and you stack them up there, they all just look mediocre. Even Kansas City.
Power rankings are impossible.
Even Kansas City, they look mediocre. Yes, they look better this week.
Yeah, but it's 1 week.
There's really, I think you can count on one hand in both leagues who the major front runners are. You look at
that's only this week.
Yeah, I mean,
it completely can change the next week because we thought the Rams were a front runner,
mm-hmm.
and they've looked bad the last 2 weeks. We thought Tampa Bay was a front runner. They've struggled the last couple of weeks. We thought the Chargers earlier in the year were going to be a contender for that top seed in the AFC. They're now 5-4.
Well, I mean, Buffalo was the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh Allen.
Everyone's going to have weeks, and it's what I keep trying to tell people. It's you cannot overreact over one win or one loss in the NFL anymore. It's you just move on and go on. It's yes, every win matters in the NFL. There's only 17 games, so wins and losses will come down or will play a crucial role into who makes the playoffs and what seeding you get. But 1 week will not make a whole season for a team. If there's so many casual fans out there that'll watch one game, and if they watched Kansas City this week, they're oh yeah, it's the same with Kansas City. Look how great they were. If they watched Kansas City a couple weeks ago, they would think that they have completely fallen off the cliff. Neither of the opinions are correct, but neither of the opinions are wrong because it changes every single time. And it just proves that we can be up here for 2 hours talking NFL, or experts can, or former players can. None of us know anything because it's going to be completely different.
Yeah, because you look right now, like you were saying, it's top heavy on the few 1 through 3, but then you get down below, you look at 6 through 11 are all within 5-4 or 4-6, and there's so many different tiebreakers already thrown out there. And like you were saying, Carolina is 7, New Orleans at 5-4 is 6. Yep. I mean, it's going to look really different. And
San Francisco, which I had finally given up on my Super Bowl pick, all of a sudden is a half game out of the playoffs with just 1 win. It's crazy out there. And
you look right now, the Chargers sitting at 5-4 in 7th place, but the Raiders right behind them. Cincinnati right behind them. I mean,
long ways to go.
I think at the end of November, maybe the first week of December, things look a little bit. So 3 weeks, I think we have a little bit clearer picture.
Oh, we have that extra week in there. I don't know. We might not know until January at this point. Some injury news, of course. Chase Young out for the season with a torn ACL. I actually saw that play. It was not enjoyable to watch. He did not look like he was having much fun out there. Baker Mayfield's injured, but it does look like he will play next week. But, I mean, they were getting trounced. So why not? Why come back into that situation, especially when half your team had COVID and you didn't want to deal with that anyways. I put in the Green Bay Packers power rankings, which you can check out on the R&R Sports Report, that one Aaron came back and the other one left.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers comes back from his COVID quarantine time, and then Aaron Jones has a mild MCL sprain. It's probably going to be 1 to 2 weeks there, but so it's A.J. Dillon time in Green Bay, and we'll see how that goes.
And I haven't had a chance yet, and I know I talked to Haley about that Tori's dad went back to Green Bay and caught that game, and first time in 10 years that Seattle has been shut out in a game.
Yep, first
10
time
years, and it's crazy to think about that. So, go 17-0. Maybe our predictions were a little bit more correct of what you and I talked about with the Seattle team.
I'm not going to say anything because then they could go out and win 4 in a row and just prove us all wrong. That's what the NFL has done this year. But speaking of Seattle, Pete Carroll does blame the refs for the loss. I mean, this happens all the time, but I didn't really watch a ton of this game because our CBS feed was being weird. And so I was only being able to watch it on highlights on the Red Zone. So I missed the plays that he was talking about. I'm sure other Seattle fans either completely agree with Pete Carroll or have just given up on the season. It is so quiet on Facebook right now. Well, that's not true. Dallas fans are going nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But Seattle fans are either quiet or they all mope.
And they're
for
all
10 minutes after the game, and then we don't hear anything.
Yeah, and one of our buddies posted on there, it was time for how did he put it? Retooling from the coach down.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, hopefully we get him on the show here in the next couple of weeks because he is a friend of ours. He's going to be coaching, but yeah, he's the same way. I mean, you look at some of them, but and there was one major injury, and I don't remember who it was that got hurt in any of our Seattle.
Major,
well, I was driving, so I didn't get to see the accident or the guy get fallen on, but the elbow got turned out, and yeah. So I have not seen a video of it, but it was pretty nasty.
So I brought it up earlier. Everyone making fun of Cam Newton for not going after the fumble. How about Teddy Bridgewater basically giving the old Olay? He was standing in the way and basically had to get out of the way so the defender could keep running. He
moved to the inside instead of forcing him to the outside.
He just got out of the way. He didn't move anywhere. He just went, please don't hurt me.
He should if he turns and forces just a little bit, if Slay towards the sideline, maybe. I don't think he was going to make the tackle anybody, but he would turn him a little bit to the sideline. But you're exactly right. It was just like,
we're on LCSC radio, and obviously I'm showing my age, and nobody.
You're old.
I am. Nobody that is in college right now that is listening to my voice is going to get this reference. And maybe you won't either, because maybe you just weren't watching the show in the 90s. But Teddy Bridgewater did his best Daria impression. Do you remember that show from MTV? Basically, the intro is her playing volleyball and just kept putting her right hand out like it's your ball, even though it landed right next to her every time.
Who's Daria? Seriously. I mean, I quit watching
an MTV show.
I quit watching MTV when they quit playing music. When they changed all of it.
This was 97. There was still music in it.
Barely.
Daria kind of came around the same time as Beavis and Butthead. Maybe a little later.
I do mean Beavis and Butthead impersonation. Some of the past students.
We don't need to do that.
Yeah.
We're not going to get ourselves kicked off.
I bet you the guys downstairs eating dinner would probably laugh if they heard me pull out some Beavis and Butthead.
I don't know who that is. Do you realize that there are people that go to school that were not alive when Beavis and Butthead were popular?
God. We're going to have to ask our guest tonight because she was born in 1999.
Yeah.
As we were looking at her notes.
Post Beavis and Butthead days.
We're going to add question to her interview time. It's getting to be the point of, okay, it's the peanut butter and jelly question and the Beavis and Butthead question now, huh? It'll be interesting.
Yeah, the first run of Beavis and Butthead ended in 97. So, there you go.
Yeah.
Make you feel old.
I know I'm old.
All right, let's actually, before we get to Believe It or Not, I want to bring up the updated draft order because it is hilarious to me. So it's your usual suspects at the top. Detroit's 1, Houston's 2, Jacksonville's 3, Jets 4, Eagles are 5th because they have the Miami pick. But picks 4 through 8. So 5-pick range. 4 of those 5 picks go to New York teams. Because the Jets have the 4th and the 8th pick, and the Giants right now have the 6th and the 7th pick.
What are you doing in the Giants? I mean, we know we're almost positive where you're going to go. You've got to go at least a running back
You don't need a running back.
and a defensive.
Why do you keep saying running back? Michael Carter is good.
Well,
We just drafted a running back. We just drafted a young running back. It's not like Baltimore where we have 4 running backs at the average age of 47.
Well, we lost one of them, but how many yards rushing did you guys have this week?
When you're down 30, you don't run the ball. Plain and simple.
Well, yeah, but you got to have a running game to set things up
And
too.
Michael Carter is a good running back. Michael Carter still got me 14 points in fantasy.
That's the one that hurt me this week because Lamar didn't give me enough points running.
All right, let's get into Randy's Believe It or Not. I was hoping for background music for this, but nothing is working the way we thought it was going to work. So another week and another tryout. So we'll do that. All right, let's do coaching hot seats. I'm going to give you a coach. You tell me whether you believe he will be coaching next year for the same team or not. Not being he will be fired. At least by Black Monday.
At least by Black Monday.
Yeah, they could be fired during the season,
Okay.
at least by Black Monday, which is the Monday after the last regular season game. They will be fired. All right?
All right.
So believe it or not, Dave Culley of the Houston Texans will have a job for the Texans next year.
I think so. I mean, he's had to deal with so much other drama and stuff going on this year. I think they give him one full year, another full year after that. If he can't turn that ball club around next year, I think maybe they relook.
Listen, it's not Culley's fault
No.
with the Watson situation. And even without the Watson situation, they have not given him anything right now. There is a reason why Watson did not want to play for Houston anymore, and it was not because of all the allegations.
No.
It was because he knew what he was playing with, and he didn't want to be there anymore. How about Urban Meyer, Jacksonville Jaguars, another first-year coach?
I don't think they give up on him. I think he'll have a job next year too. It's rebuilding. Let's rebuild with Trevor Lawrence. Let's see what happens. Give them a full year and a half, and make things work.
Now, is it Jacksonville giving up on Urban Meyer, or is it Urban Meyer giving up on the NFL?
I think it'll be Urban Meyer giving up on the NFL.
And that is why I don't know if Urban Meyer will be back next year. He might survive. He would probably survive Black Monday.
I
don't know if he gets offered the USC job, would he rather be coaching at USC or the Jacksonville Jaguars right now?
I think he gives it another year. I really do. I think he gives it a year, but it has to be tempting to have all of the power to make the decisions at USC. I don't see him going out there. I know he loved doing all of the sports announcing and sitting on
and allowed him
on Fox. So I mean, I would think he would go back there first before going to USC. That's just my opinion. But I think Jacksonville gives him at least another year on this.
Okay. How about Brian Flores of the Miami Dolphins?
God, that's a coin flip for me.
Really?
I really think so. I mean, they are looking better, but Tua, how much longer do you give Tua before you replace him? The bulk of and maybe it's because we follow Jesse a little bit, and that was one thing I was talking with our buddy Paul the other day when I was down at the Lanes. We were talking about how bad Baltimore played against Tua and those guys, and Jesse was the only offensive lineman without a penalty, and all of those penalties that Miami had. He's my wild card. He's my coin flip. I think it could go either way.
I don't think there's any way Brian Flores gets fired because he shouldn't. The team was improving.
Mm-hmm.
This defense is really, really good. Baltimore saw it on Thursday. It's not only is Tua not the right person, but Jacoby Brissett's even worse.
Mm-hmm. I was impressed with Holland.
You go from where you were to Tua getting injured and it falling apart. Now We will see if things continue to fall apart and Miami ends up in last place of the AFC East. Then we can revisit it. But it's just been such a weird year for Miami. I don't think he's lost the team, and I think he was building a good culture, and injuries are just messing up the process. And it proves that it's all about what quarterback you get.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I was highly impressed watching Holland play. What Holland did for against Baltimore and how he played against Lamar, it was almost like they were bringing him to spy the entire time, and they sent him. They let him just run out of the backfield, and I think they're growing, but how long are they going to let Flores stick around? That's like I said. I think it's
let him stick around if he gets well. I like Solid. I mean, Solid. But if Flores gets fired from Miami, and I'm any of these other teams that are going to fire a coach, he's the first person I call for sure. How about Matt Nagy, Chicago Bears?
My feeling on this one.
Gone.
Yeah, gone a long time ago. I just the way he has coached this team over the last couple of years. Oh, 1 week I am the play caller, the next week I'm not the play caller. No,
yeah, let's try to confuse our
he's
quarterback
done.
even more than
he's done.
He is.
He's
Joe
done.
Judge, New York Giants.
I think he's done too. If he cannot pull something out here in the next few weeks, I think he is 100% done. And right now they're sitting dead last 3-6, but that who figured Dallas was going to be that far up?
Yeah. But without Saquon Barkley, it hurts, and I still don't believe in Daniel Jones. But it's the same thing. If you don't have the right quarterback, you're not going to have a job as head coach. He is my coin flip.
Mm-hmm.
I can see them giving him one more chance with the injuries going on, and maybe trying to get him a different quarterback. Especially with the potential of Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson being out there available, or Deshaun Watson if all of his legal troubles disappear somehow. So to me, he's my coin flip. Another coin flip actually for me is Denver Broncos and Vic Fangio. Started out pretty good this year, have kind of come back down to earth, kind of like everyone else in the AFC West is not named the Kansas City Chiefs.
Three weeks ago, the Chiefs were in dead last. Yeah. Now they're leading.
First. But with Fangio and Denver, I've always pictured this team as a near 500 team. Obviously, you can't say 500 team anymore. I'm not sure. Pittsburgh. They can now finish 500 on the year.
Yes, they can.
We won't say Detroit because they had to win out to get there. So I still think they're on pace to finish where I thought they were going to. Teddy Bridgewater's been the good gap, but they should have had somebody behind him ready to go and learning from him, and they just don't have it. And part of that I put on Fangio, so he might be gone.
Yeah, I don't see him being the coach that players want to play for. I don't know if that sounds right or not, if it makes sense, but to me, he just doesn't feel like he's kind of in between. He doesn't feel like a player's coach, but he doesn't play like this is my team, you're playing for me, like a Sean Payton or an Andy Reid. I mean, for those two coaches, for me, they feel like this is my club. You're coming in to play our offense. This is how things are happening. You get Joe Judge. Hey, he's the hoo-ha buddy of the guy. The guy that let's play together is just team, whether or not if we lose, we lose, but almost like the participation. He falls kind of in the middle, and he lacks his identity. That's what I think. I think Fangio really lacks his identity of who he is or who he can be. So I would probably agree with you too. It's going to be a coin flip. So, but
interesting.
But we go back to Matt Nagy.
Is it weird that we're past halfway through the NFL season already?
It's crazy.
It's just a blink of an eye, and it's already almost over. All right, let's get into our Week 10 awards. First for the Player of the Week, and I got to go Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch a ton of this game because we were bowling, and I was bowling very poorly and not caring. But he does great, 35 of 50, 406 with 5 touchdowns. I still think he tries to play hero ball a bit too much. But I think there was a bit more of a balance here as far as checkdowns, and there were a lot of receptions I saw that were behind the line of scrimmage or right at the line of scrimmage. They got Travis Kelce back into the mix. They're getting there. And again, for anyone that was freaking out about Kansas City, it's a long season, and I figured they would get things going. Now, next week they play Dallas, and then they could look terrible, and all of a sudden we're going to go, well, was the Raiders a fluke? Welcome to the NFL this year. But Mahomes looked really good.
Yeah, he did look decent. Same thing with you. I'm so busy trying to do stuff while we bowl and pay attention on this game. But, I was going to take him, but I want to say it was Howie Long was guaranteeing he was going to have at least 4 touchdowns, and he does. He just comes out 5 touchdowns, no really silly mistakes. So I think that's a good pick.
He had a couple that he got lucky with. One, there was a dropped interception that I watched, and then like 2 plays later, he threw a touchdown that should have been an interception.
Right.
His receiver made a great play on the ball. But who's your player?
I wanted to go there, but I'm gonna go to the receiving corps. I'm gonna take Stephon Diggs. I mean, big averaged over 20 yards a catch. He went caught 8 balls for 162, 1 touchdown. But it was nice to see Buffalo bounce back after only scoring 3 points, or 6 points last week against Jacksonville. So give me Stephon Diggs this week.
Just had to get that dig in against the Jets. Get it, Diggs.
Yep.
Game of the week, and I went for the greatest game I've ever watched. The game that has given me the most entertainment this season. The Detroit Lions and the Pittsburgh Steelers with their tie, only because they gave us the worst overtime I think we've ever seen in any sport ever. And now a lot of that was because the wind was crazy. A lot of that was because the rain was just a complete downpour. And the rest of it was Detroit's a really, really bad team, and Pittsburgh, because of COVID, put out a really, really bad team. And it was just mistake after mistake after mistake on top of interceptions that should have been but were dropped, and then they turned it over right after that anyways. There was almost zero chance you could play 3 10-minute overtimes. I think we're still tied after that. Right. I don't think anybody ever scores.
I think you had the best reference that you and I were talking about this one. This was probably the best JV game you'd seen in forever.
It looked like a JV game. It almost looked like a Jennifer Junior High versus Sacagawea Junior High game. It looked like a Lincoln Middle School game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Man, what a mess.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Do you think if this was like college and there were no ties and you just had to play until somebody finally scored, do you think this game's still going on right now?
No, I think it probably would have finished in like the 6th. By that time they're you have to go for 2, and then it's just 2-point conversions and so
total mess. But that was my game of the week. What about yours?
Nothing really popped out, but it was kind of fun to watch Tampa Bay lose.
The hater in you is real.
It was kind of nice to watch Tom Brady actually go down. Everybody says he's the GOAT. I mean, he is top 5 quarterback, top 3 quarterback, top 2 quarterback. But it was kind of fun to watch him lose. I mean, Washington held him to under 220, right at 220 yards. But he had 2 interceptions, and 100%. Hinkie looked like he was the best quarterback on the field, or Heineke looked like the best quarterback on the field this day.
Welcome to the NFL.
Any given Sunday. So yeah, I hate to stab somebody on this one, but yeah, that I was more about laughing on this one.
You have a mask on, but you have a smile behind that mask. So I don't think you hated doing that at all.
No, I didn't.
All right, how about your Week 11 game to watch?
Well, since you took mine where I was going to go, I'm going to go the other direction. And it's just because these 2 ball clubs have a lot to play for in playoffs. Buffalo. So give me the Indianapolis Colts at Buffalo. I think that it's going to be a good game, and it's going to be, for me, can the on-off of Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs keep things going, especially with Buffalo using 6 different rushers to get barely 100 yards this last week. They need to get 2 guys, or if they're going to run that many, get 2 feature guys, let them handle the ball instead of handing the ball off to 6 and 7 different people to make things happen.
Didn't stop them against the Jets. Didn't matter.
But that's the thing. It's been such a on-off, whether or not they perform. I think they need to, because they're getting ready to go up against the number 2 running back, Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan, and I've picked him a couple times. Soon to be number one. I've picked him, a couple times for Player of the Week. I think he's going to be a stud in the next couple of years. He might be that guy that's taken over for the Derrick Henry and being the number 1 guy for a few years. So I think it's going to be quite an interesting game.
For me, it's the one that was obvious. Dallas Cowboys at Kansas City Chiefs. Just Dallas has definitely surprised everybody this season as far as how good they've been. We always figured, I picked Washington to win the division, but I thought, Dallas would be right there. But I thought both of them would be 9-8, maybe 10-7, and Dallas has just been way better than that. Kansas City starting to turn things around. We will see which one can win this one. And, of course, whoever wins this game are going to start screaming Super Bowl. And, again, it's just 1 week. Guys, just calm down. It's okay either way. Thursday night football, we got a good one, I think. We got the New England Patriots at the Atlanta Falcons. 2 teams battling for playoff spots right now in the crazy wild card pictures where almost half the teams now make it. But I said it before, I went against it last week, and I'm not going against it again. Give me the Atlanta Falcons to beat the New England Patriots at home on Thursday night.
God, how can you go against it? I mean, it's got that feel. 6-4 against 4-6. Like you said, both of them playing, but I really think New England is playing quite well. Hopefully Harris cuts out a concussion protocol and he gets to play this week. Mac Jones didn't look all that well, but I think he's going to look a lot better.
Mac Jones looked great last week. I don't know what you're talking about.
Or was it 2 weeks ago? It was 2 weeks ago. He looked like that, yeah. But I think New England pulls out there in Atlanta.
You just don't believe.
So give me New England.
You don't believe in home team on Monday night. That's all I'm hearing.
Listen, I'm struggling in picks the last couple.
Yeah,
this
6-7
last 2 weeks,
sir. My 7-6-1 crushed you last week. I've now gained 2 games over the last 2 weeks, but I'm still 9 back after that 5. The week I gave you 5. That's brutal. All right, let's move on to some local high school sports. As Kendrick will be playing for the state title. They'll be playing 11-0 Cary on Saturday at 1 p.m. in the Kibbe Dome. Pomeroy are still alive in their playoffs. They had the bye week last week. They're going to play 8-1. I can never say this name. Nacelle on Saturday in Pomeroy, and that offense has been ridiculous for the Pirates.
Sad part is I don't think Pomeroy has NFHS capabilities. So much for me trying to watch it from home. I think I might be able to sneak out. I know you have to work, but maybe.
Yeah, no, I was actually asked to call the Kendrick game, and I couldn't because I have prior obligations. I will be calling the first home game for the Lewiston Bengals girls basketball team. Their first home game will be on Saturday at 3 p.m. I'll be on there calling it for the River, so you can check me out there. And when do they play? They play, is it today or tomorrow? They play tomorrow. The Lewiston girls play at Moscow. I know the Bengals right now 0-2 on the year, but they did go down to Boise and play the state champions and the state champion runner-ups. Yeah. So they put a tough start to their schedule.
Way to go, Corey Williams, setting up big games hard right out of the gate.
I talked to their coach, whose name I apologize I'm blanking on right now. She was very, very thrilled with how things went down there and what she was seeing from her team. They didn't get the wins, but. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in their first home game on Saturday.
Isn't it Carly? Carly's back at Lewiston now, yeah. So
it is Carly. Now let's look at some local sports. Let's start with LC, as the volleyball team did get eliminated last Tuesday. Remember, they had started that match when we were on the air and then I was able to go home and watch the rest of it.
Same here.
They do lose in 4 sets, so their season is done. But they get 2 players named on the All-Cascade Conference team. Second teamer was Chana Hart, and on the first team, Garcia Enriquez. So congratulations to them. Again, Una Enriquez is just a freshman.
Oh, it's crazy.
Still a little inconsistent, but a freshman, so we'll see what they're able to do and how much she is able to improve over the next several years. But
and they brought her in the few games that I saw her play. She was injured early, brought her in a little bit later, and watching her play outside hitter. They brought her in basically to be the outside hitter a couple times, but watching her start serving the last 3 games, her serve is just. I don't think I've ever seen a ball.
Which, by the way, I have to take umbrage with the Oregon Tech play-by-play guy because it was in the 4th set and it was late, and she went back to serve and did her high serve, and then she had a service error, and he called her out on it as showboating or hot dogging the serve in a crucial situation. I go, that's just her serve. That's just what she does. That was just me criticizing another.
Oh, I know. You and I were messaging back and forth when we were watching it. So,
Corbin did defeat Eastern Oregon in the Cascade Conference Championship game. So both of those teams made automatic qualifiers for the national tournament. But 4 teams in the Cascade Conference made the 48-team field.
That's crazy.
Corbin and Eastern Oregon, like I said. Oregon Tech, who did beat LCSC, got an at-large. It's their first appearance, and Bushnell making their second appearance. Also, as an at-large, opening rounds are on Saturday, and then they cut it down to so much, and then they'll play like a pool play for a few days, and then the finals over a weekend. So we'll try to keep you up to date on that, but with the LC women out, I don't follow it as much. We did have those 2 tournaments this weekend that you talked about at the opening of the show that the radio listeners got to listen to.
Yeah.
The poor Facebook and YouTubers were unable to hear that, but it was a very, very fun time. But for the women, they do win. Right, it's not really tournaments. They don't win the Twin Rivers Physical Therapy Classic, but they technically do. They're the only team to win both of their games, as they win 79-74 in triple overtime over Montana Tech. It's the first triple overtime game in program history. And then they defeated Rocky Mountain 57-54 on Saturday, so they're now 3-0 on the year. And I have to say, there were 4 women's games this weekend. I got a call 2, and then of course I didn't get a call the 2 LC games because Brian Danner called those. We had an overtime game and a triple overtime game on Friday. We had the game that I called on Saturday was a 20-point game late in the 3rd quarter, and all of a sudden, with 5 seconds to go, Eastern Oregon had a 3-point attempt to tie the game to push that into overtime, and they missed it. And then here it is, LC winning theirs by 3. So the women's side was extremely close. But they are 3-0 on the year. They will be taking on Walla Walla on the road next Tuesday at 5:30. And for the men, not only did they win both of their games in the Clearwater River Casino and Lodge Classic, winning the first one 105-92 over Providence, and the second one 76-64 over Montana Western, but Kevin Baker was named Cascade Conference Player of the Week. He's been absolutely fantastic this season. Transfer player. The LC men are now 5-0 on the year, and they will also take on Walla Walla next Tuesday. That one at 7:30. And last but not least, the only sport going on this week, LCSC cross country. Both the men and women's team did qualify to compete in the NAIA Cross Country National Championship. That will take place on Friday. The men will race at 10:30. The women will race at 11:30. I think you can check that out on the NAIA app. Mm-hmm. So I'll be trying to tune in and watch that one. How about some college football, sir?
Well, I'm going to dive in. You said one thing with high school stuff, as Clarkson is in their crossover times. Tryouts just started up for basketball and all that. But a shout out to the Clarkson High School swim team. They made state for the second straight year. Did not end up winning, but the only one out of Clarkson that actually made the state, any kind of state playoffs is in the fall.
Clarkson had a good showing, but I will have to say, and they're not this very local team, but they're local as far as my other job. And I talked to this coach, and she could talk your ear off, and for good reason. But the Pullman swim team in that same deal crushed that whole event. So Carson had a very, very good turnout, and they should be very proud of themselves. Pullman just ran away with that.
Right.
And they win all 3 of the relays, and I'm blanking on the girl's name that won like 4 different events in there. Just, again, I talked to that coach just to try to get a quote or two because we had all the stats we needed for this piece. And Don just wanted us to get a quote or two. I talked to her for 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. And so they did great. Also, shout out to the volleyball team. They ended up playing districts. They ended up knocking off Pullman. Yeah. Knocked off Pullman in 4 sets, but then ended up having to play Shadle Park right after, and Shadle takes and sweeps them in 3-game sets. So, the volleyball team had a great showing also.
For as slow as that team started this year.
So a lot of growth there. A lot of growth.
Absolutely.
But basketball, they are trying out. Wrestling has already practiced. Wrestling matches are starting, I believe, next week. We'll try to get Corey in and chatting with that. So lots going on here, and as we're in that little bit of a lull time. So let's turn our attention to college football. The Cougars come out and fall to number 4 Oregon 38-24, but they do get the push.
I hate it.
They do get the push.
I'm so mad. I was watching that game.
I have Bane with me. Bane and I are laying in the bed there in my office, and we're watching the Cougar game, and they come back as they scored. There was 3 touchdowns within like 5 minutes of that game, and goes and hits on the over also in points, because the over in points was 58. So Jaden DeLora had 3 big costly turnovers, 2 interceptions and a fumble in that one. If he doesn't,
one more of those.
If he keeps it, maybe, but the Cougars just could not stop the rushing attack from the Ducks, who put up 306 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. The Cougars will be home on back-to-back Friday. This Friday night they are taking on Arizona at home, and then they'll have another Friday night game with the Apple Cup next week. So lots going on there.
If WSU does not beat Arizona.
You don't think so?
They will. I'm just saying, if they don't,
it'll be crazy.
They do not deserve to make a bowl game.
Yeah. Right now, the Cougars are sitting 5-5, 4-3 in conference, so it'll be interesting. You can check out that game.
Not bowl eligible yet.
Not yet. Getting close.
When they will. But even if they lose the next 2, they probably still make a bowl game, because
probably
there's going to be
the Potato Bowl.
There's going to be more
maybe they go
bowl teams than bowl eligible teams. That's how it always works.
I think we're down to 19 games till the first bowl game hits, and that's what one of the first of 43. Who knows? Anyway, the Cougars are on the Pac-12 network, 6:00 on Friday. Check that one out. The Vandals lose to Montana State 20-13. Yeah, they kept it close for a long time. Zach Borsch from Idaho only goes 8 of 18 for 157 yards passing, but he ends up having 70 yards rushing. He is pretty much everything of the offense in this game. So they will be taking on Idaho State down in Pocatello. I was drawing a blank. Pocatello on Saturday at noon. Catch that one on ESPN Plus. And Eastern Washington gets back into the win column, as they are now 8-2 as they knock off UC Davis 38-20. And they do not score in the first quarter, so it was kind of crazy to watch that one. Eric Barrier gets another big game, bounces back after having a rough game last week, throws for 411 yards, 3 touchdowns. But then Eastern also has 6 rushers in this game that put up 211 yards. Eastern outgains UC Davis 625 yards to 283. So crazy to think. They take on Portland State at Portland State on Saturday, 2 p.m. So I have one question for you.
Okay.
Does Eric Barrier get drafted in the 2022 NFL draft?
If he does, it'll be the last day.
Let me give you a little bit on his career numbers.
Okay.
He's got 12,537 yards passing. He's 62%. has 109 yards, 109 touchdowns, 26 interceptions, and he has over 1,500 yards on the ground with 20 touchdowns. Do you think the last day? So day
I think
4.
last day, and it's only because this quarterback class seems very weak. So he could even bump up a little bit. But I do think he probably gets drafted. I haven't looked at like big boards and stuff to see where people are ranking him as far as quarterbacks go. But I could see him being the 8th, 9th quarterback taken off the board, being 5th, 6th, 7th round.
I was going to say, I think he's going to be either late day 2 or early day 3 in the picks. I'm just excited to see what he can do. He has put that team on his back a lot, and so kind of interesting to see how that one pans out. We take a look. Let's talk a little more college football there, sir, as Georgia and Alabama both roll in this game. Michigan holds off Penn State 21-17. Baylor upsets Oklahoma. Oklahoma falls out of the top 10 in this one. Baylor upsets big upset 27-14. Oklahoma State crushes TCU. There's a lot of good top 25 teams that can still shake this thing up a little bit. Ohio State was over Purdue. That one was a little bit more shocking than what I thought could have been in that one. So Georgia still your undefeated number 1, 10-0. Bama stays number 2, 9-1. Cincinnati is 10-0, and number 3 in Oregon.
Not number 3. Stop talking about AP. AP means nothing anymore.
Yeah, and so let's jump down to the football playoffs. Georgia. So your top 4 teams right now: Georgia, Bama, Oregon, and Ohio State, looking to try to get in as Cincinnati, Michigan, Michigan State, and Notre Dame. Who do you think moves up or moves down?
I'm sorry, Cincinnati almost has no chance. Because we will get into our predictions. The Utah-Oregon game is going to be really interesting to see if Oregon gets dropped out. But Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State, Ohio State has to play the 2 Michigan teams still. So either they're going to solidify their spot or one of the Michigan teams are going to work their way up and into that playoff spot. So I don't know how Cincinnati quite gets in unless Oregon loses and somebody like a Notre Dame does not jump them. So it'll be very, very interesting. But we will get into our picks and everything else here in a minute. But we have a guest that I have to get on here.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Make sure you get her mic. We got a senior from Wilmar, Minnesota, Miss Heidi Selman, joining us here live in the studio. Thanks for joining us tonight, Heidi.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And what's awesome is I told Randy just before we signed out, and Heidi's already liked our R&R Facebook page.
I just did today.
Yeah, just before the show, so I was excited.
None of the other LC people want to do that.
Khalil did.
But it took us two interviews to get him to like us.
Well, but he likes it. He wants to sit in on the show every once in a while. But welcome, glad to see you. Had a great tournament. How did you think the Twin River Therapy Classic went?
It was a lot of fun, and as my mom said, it was like watching March Madness basketball, but it was only our second and third games of the season. So it was definitely intense, but it was a great experience and really memorable and fun as well.
Yeah, we were talking just a few minutes ago, going over all the LC stuff, there were 4 women's games that weekend. We had the overtime game, we had the triple overtime that we're going to talk about in a minute. And then on Saturday, we had 2 3-point games.
Yeah.
So, every women's game was nail-biters right down to the end. And I got to ask right off the bat, with that, triple overtime against Montana Tech, how exhausting is that?
It was, I didn't feel tired necessarily. I guess I felt worn out. I still felt like we had more energy ready. But by the third overtime, we're like, okay. Knowing that you have another game the next day, you're like, oh boy, we're already playing almost another half. And so it was pretty crazy, but we grinded it out, and I think that was awesome.
At that point, you're just like, I love basketball, but not this much.
Yeah, sometimes. It's a love-hate relationship.
So let's talk a little bit of high school stuff really quick before we jump into your college career. Yeah, we're going to dive back a little bit.
Crazy.
Played a little softball, played volleyball.
Yep.
and
Three sport
basketball, obviously. Which was obviously basketball was your favorite.
I love my other sports, and they definitely developed me. And I've always thought that being well-rounded and versatile is really important. So those definitely helped with that aspect.
So Randy and I both got done calling LC volleyball games. As Randy did radio, I was at the table calling the games. Both of us learning a little bit more of the new side of the volleyball from when I went.
Sure.
What position did you play in high school when you were doing volleyball?
Mostly middle. Even though I'm not that tall, I was one of the tallest. So that was my job, was to block and to hit well.
And you were also softball player. So
yes, I played center field.
Center.
But if I were to go back, I'd be a pitcher, because otherwise it's too slow of a game for me.
Yeah,
I like to be involved.
Yeah, there you go. So.
And that's why she played the other sports.
Yes.
They're always involved in those.
Exactly.
So then you did play 1 year at Ridgewater College and then 1 year at North Idaho College. Why the changes and why are you to LC?
Yeah, so it's kind of, Ridgewater was like an extension of high school, really. It was 5 minutes away from my house in Minnesota. Really fun, really small. And so I got to play all three of my sports there, actually, which was really kind of unique as a college player. And then I was actually born in Idaho, and my family moved around the Midwest, and I lived in Minnesota for 8 years, I believe. But I have an older sister who lives in Coeur d'Alene. And I was just ready at that point to kind of spread my wings, as they say, and experience some things for myself. And so I decided to move in with my sister and her family. At the time, she is married to my brother-in-law, and they had one little boy, my nephew Cedar. And then while I was there, she was pregnant with my second nephew. And I really enjoyed NIC, and that's where I started just focusing on basketball. And then after that season, which was really fun, it was the end of the season, and I happened to email Coach Brian, and I was like, hey, I need a place to go. And he emailed back and called right away. And like, he was almost like, once you get to know him, he's just very, once he makes up his mind, he's made up his mind. And I was really caught off guard. I was like, whoa, I'm okay. Yeah, sure. I can come visit next week. And I don't know if I'll stay over, and anyways, it was kind of funny though. And it all worked out, and the doors just opened up, and here I am.
So it is funny to hear you say that you went to North Idaho because your sister was over there, and now here you are at LC. And then your brother comes to LC. So have you always just been that close of a family, or has it just been, I want out of the house and I know a connection?
No, we've always been really close. And my sister is 12 years older than me. So never really having grown up with her, it was really fun to reconnect and, find what it's really like to have a sister, an older sister. So that was special. And then just my sister, and then it's me, and I have two younger brothers. Obviously, one's here, and we've always been close. And Luke decided he wanted to come out and follow me, and I'm so glad he did. I can't imagine it without him.
You keep a good eye on him.
Yeah, he only lives down the road from me, so we get together quite often, and it's been really fun.
Yeah, so brother Luke is cross country team, track star, and all that. So hopefully another athlete will get in on the show and have him here. All right, let's talk a little bit. 2019, 2020 was kind of a crazy year.
Yeah.
COVID, but only played 3 games as you got hurt.
Almost 2 years ago today.
Wow.
Yeah.
What kind of injury was it?
I tore my ACL, MCL, and meniscus.
Ooh.
Yeah, they call it the happy triad. I don't know if I'd call it happy. Yeah, exactly.
So, what have you changed? So, you've gotten back in the 2021 season. Things started happening. You played 20 games in that one. What kind of routine did you change coming off that injury to get back into some kind of normalcy?
Yeah. It was tough. And coming into the season, Coach had told me from the get-go, this is going to be a build-back season, and it's going to take time, and you're going to be okay, and honestly, I was like, yeah, I know. But in my head, I had expected that I would be back and cleared right at the 9-month mark, and everything would just come back naturally on the court. And that was not the case. I didn't end up playing until almost a year after surgery is when I got cleared. And then things did not just, click right back into place. And so having to kind of face that I wasn't reaching as high of expectations as I had for myself because they were unrealistic, but I hadn't realized that until I got out there, and kind of just facing that and discovering that, okay, my identity is not going to be in my stats, at least not right now. And all I can do is just work my hardest and, play my heart out and let God do the rest. That's kind of what I say. And it was difficult, though, to kind of rewire my brain in that way when you're so, used to being somebody who's really contributing on the team and are a high achiever, and just kind of looking at that in a different light has really been, it's really been cool. It's not necessarily been fun, but I'm really glad that I went through that, because now, honestly, this season has just been so special because, first of all, just our team and the camaraderie we have, and it's just really fun. Everybody loves each other, but at the same time, we're so competitive with each other too. And that's just like an oxymoron that's hard to come by on a team, where I think Maddie Holmes said it in the paper last week after the triple overtime game, that we play for the love of the game and also because we love each other. And I think that's what really makes a team special. And so I'm just taking in every moment and enjoying it, and overall realizing that it's bigger than me, and it's not just about basketball or the stats or the wins or whatever you achieve. It's more than that.
Do you think going through a season like that has helped you as this is a very young team?
Mm-hmm.
What you and
I'm the only
Alexis,
senior.
or you're the only one? So as the only senior, being able to then try to tell some of these other ladies about your experience, and so I'm sure a lot of them, anytime you go from a high school to a college, you're going from, being the best of your team to becoming a role player, no matter where you end up going. So whether it's an injury or not, people's roles are going to be different. So how has that been for you to be able to take your experience and then turn that around in like a mentorship?
It's been really cool. Like they kind of call me the mom of the team, and I really do try to be honest and open and vulnerable about my experience and the growth that I've gone through. And if anything, I just hope it encourages people and inspires them that, it may look different than you thought, but that's okay. And just embrace it and give it your all, and you'll find your purpose somehow, in some way, if you just stay dedicated to that. So, yeah.
So you talked about you and Alexis being the only seniors on the team. There's a couple of names that we have been known a lot about over the last couple of years. You've got Hannah Broyles, who we've called many games for Moscow Clarkson, and Lewis and Moscow. How is the entire dynamics of the team, which it seems to be very young? Is this on Saturday was the first time I got to see you guys play live in action Saturday, and then being down on the floor after chatting with a couple of you. It was just kind of, it felt like a very young team. What do you do to help keep these guys focused?
Well, we've had quite a few team suppers and meetings, even just with us, not necessarily like the coaches are there and directing it, but just like, hey guys, this is the culture that we have, and this is the reputation we have to uphold, and we need to take that seriously. And yes, we're a different team than last year, but that doesn't mean we can't be disciplined and do the little things and still be tough, So that's kind of what we've tried to emphasize, I guess. And ultimately, it's control what you can control, and you can always control your work ethic. And so I think by focusing on that, that's kind of brought us together. So
far here in the 21-22 season, we've played 3 games. Whitman, you had 12 points, 6 rebounds. Montana Tech the other night, 15 points, 12 rebounds. having the first double of your season there, and then Rocky Mountain 13-6. You seem to be in just watching you play. You seem to be one of the very first options they're getting to running plays through. Is there a lot that Coach Orr game plans through you?
I would say it's pretty well spread throughout the team. I think our team is very versatile, however you say that word. But every person has different strengths, and Coach and the program really has always emphasized that we play to those. And so, yes, he's designed certain plays for certain people to make certain, whether it's to the basket, passes, attacking, finishing. So that's definitely something that we're focused on as far as playing to our strengths. But I wouldn't say, I don't know, I feel like it's pretty evenly spread. There's a lot of, like, Maddie Holm is such a good driver to the basket. Hannah is so good with her moves and fadeaways, and then she can also drive to the basket. And Sarah's tall, so we just pass her the ball, and she's been becoming so much more aggressive and putting it in.
I was going to say, I was down on the floor during giving away awards there with Chip Wahlberg, as he was the sponsor for the game. And Sarah come up to me as what she was collecting her trophy, and I told Randy, and I texted you, and I felt like I was only 4 feet tall when I was standing next to her. And I stand 5'10", so I mean I'm not super tall, but I'm looking up at Sarah. It's just crazy. I think she's only listed at 6'3". I think Alicia has that wrong. I think she's a little taller, 6'3".
It made me feel better because I do get blocked quite often by her.
It's crazy.
I haven't had a chance to stand next to her, so I haven't felt short yet.
Yeah.
No, give it time. You will.
Yeah. So you're majoring in biology. What are the plans after school?
Good question. I'm at this point where I think everything is fascinating still, and I've dabbled in a lot of areas, from medicine to microbiology. This semester, I've been focusing more on outdoor, like field, and I'm taking a bug class as well, which has been really fun. And I just enjoy all of them. So I don't really know. I love learning, and I want to go to grad school. But before I do that, I'm planning on taking a gap year and hopefully discover more about myself so that I can come back a little bit more decided on what I want to focus on, because I'm not quite sure yet. But I've thought about becoming a professor. I've thought about becoming a doctor, teacher. I don't know. We'll see.
Just don't become a math teacher like him.
Listen,
because you forget all of English.
Listen, she said the same thing. She struggled with words too. I don't do words. Give me math. Give me history.
She just shows that she only likes the program, doesn't watch the program, because she asked you how you said that word. So.
And whatever works, All right, so we're going to do a couple of quick fire questions and just ask a few questions, just random, weird kind of questions. If you could host a talk show, who would your first guest be?
Do they have to be living? That's kind of a silly part.
No.
Okay, I have found my new, what's the word? Somebody I'm inspired by. Her name's Elizabeth Elliott, and I read a book about her this summer, and she was this missionary that went into this very secluded tribe in the Amazon, and just a really cool life and how she lived it. So I would like to talk to her and pick her ear about some things.
All right. Which household chore do you dread the most?
It used to be dishes, but somehow by doing them enough, I've actually started to enjoy them. I think the thing I least like is mopping or like Swiffering the floor. Mm-hmm. And it's a necessary evil, sadly.
Yeah. All right. How about your biggest pet peeve?
When people leave the toilet paper roll done, but they don't like replace it.
I could tell you somebody that does that. But she'd be mad at me because it is her birthday tomorrow. So
that's how we're going to announce it.
No. We'll talk about that later.
Is the birthday girl doesn't put the toilet paper back? Because that's how we're going to announce.
Yeah, I guess so. We're just going to.
That brings up the question though: did the toilet paper go over or under?
Over for sure.
Yes, my new favorite player.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. All right. What is one of the most important skills every person should master?
Self-control. I think. But I don't know if it ever can be mastered. Like in all areas of life, that would be pretty difficult. But we could try.
All right, so this one came up how many weeks ago?
Yeah,
Like
it's been
6
4 weeks or so. It's just taken over the show.
And it's taken over the show.
Oh boy.
Do you like sandwiches?
Yes, but I don't call them that.
Okay, well, I mean, sandwiches.
Salmon,
All right.
sandwiches?
PB&J.
Mm,
Favorite sandwich? What kind of jelly do you like? First, I'm going to ask you that one.
probably raspberry.
You're making this a
All right.
weirder
I
question.
am. So, what is the percent? How much peanut butter to how much jelly?
Just a tiny bit more peanut butter than jelly.
See, I'm a 60-40. I'm
yeah,
the same way.
yeah.
I'm about
I
a
would say
60-40.
60-40.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
That's fair. All right, favorite sports team. So you come from an area that has lots of sports, lots of hockey.
True.
I mean, favorite sports team.
I think I'd have to go with the Lynx, which is the WNBA Minnesota team. They've been really good, and it is really cool because Lindsay Whalen, who did play for the Lynx, is now the head coach of the Gophers, and she went to high school at this school that we used to play against in high school in Alexandria.
That's 2 weeks in a row we've said the same school, Minnesota. Sean said
Really?
the same thing. We had Sean Pullman on last week, and he said the same thing with Minnesota. So, or 2 weeks ago when he was on. So,
Nice.
all right, favorite LCSC teacher.
Oh, that's a tough one. Currently, mine is Alex and Julie Bezaritas. They're spouses, and I have Julie for Spanish and Alex for my bug class. So, pretty fun.
All right, I'm going to let you do all the word
right.
association.
All right, we're going to do word association. I'll just name a player or a person.
Okay.
Just give me
This
a word
should be
that's
fun.
associated with it. Sarah Muhausen.
Like serene, very calm.
How about Maddie Holm?
I would say weird, but in the best sense. Like like how I'm weird. Like we have very similar personalities and funny characteristics.
Hannah Broyles.
Let's see. I would just go with competitive.
Alexis Sikora. Is that how you say her last name? Yep.
Yeah, stubborn.
We get that a lot
Mm-hmm.
as a word association.
She's
for some
very
of these
hard-headed.
players. Not just for her, just for a lot of players. That somebody gets stubborn almost every time. Brian Orr.
I'd say intense, but also like tender-hearted. It's kind of a weird oxymoron, but.
And then the last one, we do it to everybody. But Heidi Selman.
Most people would probably say positive.
Is that what you would say?
Yeah, probably. It's pretty defining. And happy.
There you go.
I'm usually happy.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So that is Heidi Selman. Thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little bit. The women play again a week from today at 5:30 at Walla Walla. I was trying to think of the time, but at 5:30, and then the men will be right after. So you can check that out on, what station does Brian call that game on?
950 KOZE.
There you go.
Talk radio.
Well, it's also on the FM station, and I forget which one that is. But
I haven't done
it's not the station I'm on. That's all I know.
No.
But you can check them out there, or you can check it out somewhere on the NAIA site somewhere, probably, because I find random LC games when they're on the road, and I never know where they're at. But you can usually find them at lcwarriors.com, and they will link you somewhere to be able to listen or watch. Or you can check us out here on the R&R Sports Report. We'll give you some score updates while we can. But Heidi, again, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little bit. Best luck to the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And again, it was so much that tournament this last weekend was so much fun.
It was for us too.
All right, thank you so much.
We're looking forward to a great season from Heidi. And then again, Heidi Selman, senior post player here for LCSC Warriors. Thank you very much for joining us. As you are listening to KLCZ 88.9 FM here on beautiful campus of Lewis Clark State College. It's gorgeous seeing all these Christmas lights, dude. Are you getting in the season?
No, it's not time.
I know, we got to get through Thanksgiving.
This hasn't been updated, so they get no reading. Yeah, check us out, YouTube, Facebook. Follow us like Heidi did. for all the craziness and 10-minute tech issues that we dealt with, because that was always fun.
I'm still mad about that.
I'm
We'll figure it out.
determined to figure this thing out now. But again, thank you so much to Heidi for hanging out with us before the Thanksgiving break. It's not Thanksgiving yet, people. Put your Christmas lights away. There's a holiday before that I'm not ready for because we're hosting for some reason.
Yeah, you're looking forward to that one.
We'll have fun with it, I guess. But oh my goodness. Let's get back into college football. Let's finish up that talk because again, we always run long and we have to go back. College pick'em. I should have went 5-0.
You should have. Honestly.
Oregon and WSU hosed me. San Diego State wasn't much of a hosing, but once again, the line was only 2.5, and I was somehow unable to cover that while they won the game. They only won by 2, so that's whatever. So I go 3-1-1. You go 2-2-1. So I win the week, but you are still one game ahead of me.
One.
Which is a couple weeks to go.
One.
Because the bowl games, we're just going to pick straight up, and that's going to be a whole different thing.
Yeah.
I get control of the board, and I had some fun with it. You know me. I like to spread it out throughout the week. Give me something to watch throughout. Thursday was so bad that I had to double up somewhere else. So it is Wednesday. We get a double up. We get Northern Illinois, a 1.5-point favorite at Buffalo. Give me the Bulls at home.
Yeah, I was back and forth, but Northern Illinois had a little bit better win record. So, no, I'm going to listen, Haley. I'm going to agree with Randy a little bit. I love seeing the lights here
happen often.
Outside here, decorating campus. But as far as decorating and having Christmas lights inside your house already by Halloween, no,
absolutely not. All right, so you're taking Northern Illinois. I'm taking Buffalo. Also on Wednesday at 4 p.m., Central Michigan at Ball State. Ball State giving 2 points. This time I'm going to take the road team. Give me Central Michigan.
Same here. I'm taking Central Michigan. I think they're just going to be too much for Ball State.
On Friday at 6 p.m., this will be a fun one to watch as well. I think a high-scoring game is my prediction here.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like that out of left field. Air Force at Nevada. Nevada giving 2 points. Give me the Wolfpack.
I was back and forth with this one. I wanted to take Air Force just because of their offense and all that, but I decided that I'm going to go ahead and take Nevada. I took the home team. I think it's going to be a big game. Both teams are both 7-3 right now, so I think anything's going to happen. I think the over/under is 52. So
over.
Yeah.
On Saturday, 9 a.m., number 7 Michigan State at number 4 Ohio State. Ohio State's giving 19 in this one. I think that's too much. I do think the Buckeyes will win this game, but we're taking it by the spread, so give me Michigan State.
Same here. I think Ohio State wins it, but Michigan State is just too good this year. I think they're going to take the L. They'll fall out of the playoff picture, but it's not going to be by 19 points.
And our last one, number 3 Oregon at number 24 Utah, and I'm surprised that Utah is a 3-point favorite against the third-ranked team in the country, but this is the Pac-12. They cannot have nice things.
Nope.
Oregon has not blown it yet. They will this week. Oregon loses to Utah.
I'm going to disagree just a bit, and it's hard for me to say this because I do not care for the Ducks. I know Pete Williams will get mad at me, but Oregon's going to end up winning this one. Thibodeau's just way too much. I think he puts too much pressure on Utah quarterback.
Sure. Let's look at some college basketball real quick because it's really early on in the season, and they're still we're getting very good games. You had the Gonzaga-Texas game the other day, which was fun to watch. Gonzaga dominated that game, by the way. And we're going to get a lot of those. We're going to start seeing those holiday tournaments, which will be fun to watch. But college basketball doesn't really start ramping up until February. But we'll keep our eye on it. Gonzaga right now, the number 1 team in the country. They won 54 straight games at the Kennel. UCLA is 2nd, Kansas 3rd, Michigan 4th, Villanova is 5th. WSU undefeated on the year so far, 3-0.
They started that way last year too. They started out like a house of fire, and then they got into Pac-12 play and But it was awesome to watch them play and take on Seattle University. We got to watch Brandon Chatfield play.
Chatfield had like 6 rebounds in the game, and
So.
the coach for WSU praised him
Mhm.
in it with how much he's improved. So that's awesome to see. Idaho and Eastern Washington both 1-2 to start the year. On the women's side, WSU also undefeated. They are 2-0 on the year. Gonzaga is also 2-0, and Idaho 1-1, and Eastern Washington 0-2. So again, we will keep our eyes on college basketball, both men and women, throughout the year, but it's still pretty early. So let's get into some baseball now. Julio Lugo passed away from a heart attack at the age of 45. Not a fantastic news. I want to say I remember him playing, but
Boston.
there were other Lugos that I might be confusing him with, so I don't want to talk out of my butt in that situation. So, oh yeah, I remembered him playing, but there's like a Seth Lugo in there somewhere that I'm stuck in my brain. Some major signings as we're getting that going on right now. Eduardo Rodriguez. What are you laughing at?
I just finally read Haley's comment.
We can't have pets.
Yeah.
Eduardo Rodriguez signs with Detroit 5 years, $77 million. Manny Pena signs with Atlanta 2 years, $8 million. And the one today, Noah Syndergaard, Thor, signs with the Los Angeles Angels 1 year, $21 million. As I said to our friend Richie, Noah just decided he wanted to rehab in nicer climate because
Right.
Noah is always injured by rehab.
No, why not? I mean,
Absolutely.
That's both words.
Are you surprised that we're starting to see this many people get signed this early with the labor talks in trouble? Because if we don't get things signed by the beginning of December, we're going to have a lockout on our hands.
Yeah, and I'm shocked to see all of them moving and shaking already, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, the pressure right now is going to be on the owners to get this thing done and over with before the 1st of December and the winter meetings in January. So I am shocked to see this many moves happening already.
Yesterday, we had the Rookie of the Years announced. On the American League side, it was Randy Rosarena. On the National League side, it was Jonathan India. Both you and I got those ones right.
High five.
Thanks for copying my answers.
Yep, anytime.
And then, unfortunately, you copied my answers on the major or the manager of the league ones as well. The National League was the easy one. Gabe Clapper wins.
Yeah.
And then American League, I'm still kind of surprised with. Maybe it's because people just weren't buying into Tampa Bay like I was buying into Tampa Bay, and they were surprised that the Rays won the AL East. But I was not surprised with Kevin Cash and his job with Tampa Bay. So we talked about it last week. I picked your boy.
I
picked Cervez for Seattle. But Kevin Cash is the first manager ever to win the American League Manager of the Year in back-to-back.
Yeah, and he was second in votes, but when second in votes is only 5, because Cash takes 19 of the 30. So it was interesting to see, but hats off. That means they're paying attention a little bit to Seattle, but they got a lot of improvement they can make.
They'll get there. All right, and then tomorrow they will announce the Cy Young Award winners, and Thursday they will announce the MVPs. So we will talk about those next week. Let's get into more MLB free agent predictions. We're going to do pitchers this time. We only got 9 because one of them on my list was Noah Syndergaard, and then he got signed. So I'll just ask you, where do you think Noah Syndergaard will be signed this year?
I don't know. Maybe Anaheim or LA. Depends on where you want to say he's from.
The Los Angeles of Anaheim. There you go. It's a bold pick, but I will agree with you.
Yeah.
Which kind of messes up another one of my picks that we'll get to in a second, but whatever. Here we go.
Just a little bit.
Let's start out with Max Scherzer, who got traded to the Dodgers during the season. 37-year-old pitcher. Where does he go?
I think LA tries everything they do to keep him there. I really do. I think Scherzer found a home there, and I think the Dodgers will do whatever they can do to keep him.
I think he goes to the rival. I think he goes to San Francisco.
I read some that they think that's where he's going, but I don't see him shying away from
I've
Dodger
heard a lot
blue.
where like it could be Scherzer and Verlander both going to San Francisco. That could be pretty crazy.
I think Verlander goes home. I really do. I think he goes back to where he started.
We'll get there. How about Robbie Ray? Could potentially win the Cy Young tomorrow for Toronto. 30-year-old left-handed pitcher. Really struggled with the walks early on in his career. Has kind of filtered that out so far for the Toronto Blue Jays. I had him going to the Los Angeles Angels. That was before Noah. I still think he goes. I still think he ends up with the Angels.
I think Toronto for me was probably the best feel good story of the entire year. I mean, the way they play, they got to go back home after not being able to play, until July. I think he fit in there. I think they're going to try to keep him there too. So I'm going to say he stays in Toronto.
All right, let's go. Kevin Gausman, 31-year-old right-handed pitcher, pitched for the Giants. I had this on here before, and now with the Rodriguez news yesterday or the day before, it helped my cause. Boston's going to need pitching, so I think they're going to go for somebody. I don't think they get any of the top older names.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Gausman's a good pitcher at 31 years old. Could be a good number 2, number 3 starter for you for the next 5-6 years. So I think that'd be a good fit for Boston.
I leaned that way. For me, it's either I was Boston or he stays put in San Francisco. I think you hit it on the head. I think Boston needs something to shore up that lineup for a few years. But I don't see him doing 5 or 6 years. I'd be more of like a 4-year, 3-year deal. I don't see him signing past a 4-year deal.
Marcus Stroman with the New York Mets, 30-year-old right-handed pitcher. I say he stays with the Mets.
Yeah, I mean he's home right there, big market. It just fits him really well. So
Carlos Rodon, left-handed pitcher, 29 years old, had some arm injuries. They're late in the season. Be interesting to see what that does to his value. But I do think he stays with the White Sox. The White Sox were my dark horse last year. Very young team. Possibly Rodon sees that and sticks with it and pushes them to a possible title down the road.
Nope. We're going to roll the dice. He's going to go to Seattle. I think Scott Service needs him. Joey Dipoto needs him in the bullpen. I think he could be that arm that can get you some extra innings. So I think
Did you just
Seattle,
say you're going to put him in the bullpen?
I would put him in the bullpen. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This show's over. This is terrible.
Oh.
Rodon is awesome. He's not a bullpen pitcher.
I think he will do awesome in the bullpen.
Stop it. And that is why. So Carlos Rodon goes to the Seattle Mariners to talk to them, and they say, we're going to put you in the bullpen. He's going to stand up and walk out.
Nah, I don't think so.
Stand up and walk out. I don't care what the number on the contract would say. He would stand up and walk out of that room. 39-year-old Justin Verlander, right-handed pitcher. I've not said my team yet. And I just have a feeling that the Yankees are going to overpay one of these old pitchers. And obviously Scherzer hates the Yankees, so it's not going to be him. We got Kershaw coming up. I don't think it's going to be him because there's another rumor that I've heard that makes sense with him. So all that's left for old starting pitchers who possibly are past their prime is Justin Verlander. And it would not surprise me if we hear at some point in the offseason the New York Yankees sign Justin Verlander to a 2-year, $47 million contract. That's my guess.
Right. And we're just throwing these out there. I mean, throw caution to the wind of where they end up because we don't know 100%. But I think
I just told you the exact.
I think he goes back to where he started. I think he goes back to Detroit. I really do.
I don't think he misses that place.
Nah. I think
I don't think he misses pitching in the snow in April.
I don't think anybody likes pitching in the snow and that's just crazy.
All right, I brought him up just a second ago. Clayton Kershaw, left-handed pitcher, 34 years old. Does he stay with the Dodgers?
I think he stays in the National League, but I think he goes down the road. I think he heads down to San Diego and plays for the Padres.
I think Clayton Kershaw, I've heard rumors of him wanting to go back home, and his home is near Texas.
Right.
We've talked about it with the batters. We think Texas is going to want to make big moves in the offseason. Big move would be Clayton Kershaw coming home. So give me Kershaw to the Rangers there. Now a couple of relievers. Let's start with Kenley Jansen, the Los Angeles Dodgers closer, 34 years old, really struggled this year. So I don't think he's going to stay with LA. Give me Philadelphia. It was straight guess on my part, but I don't. My main thing is I don't think he stays with the Dodgers.
He's in LA, but he does not stay with the Dodgers. Give me the Angels. He goes there.
That works. Raciel Iglesias, who was with the Angels, 32-year-old reliever. Somebody's got to cover for Jansen, so I'm going to take the Dodgers there.
Yeah, he goes back. He goes to the Dodgers. He goes to.
So there you go.
Dodger Blue.
You flipped them.
Yep.
They could stay in their same houses, or do they trade houses?
Well, you never know. They might just rent each other's house out or something like that.
All right, let's get into it. The sports-related draft. We have done 8 of these. I am 8-0 on the season.
No.
I have dominated,
No.
and it's been fantastic. You know why I dominate, or how I know I dominate? When I pick somebody, you go, "Ah!" and you get all mad.
I did.
And you did this week, too.
I did, because
which is why I know I win.
And we'll get to that here in a minute.
But you did it during the Biggest Busts one, which was last week. Go check that out at the R&R Sports Report on Facebook and YouTube. I just win. I'm 8-0 in this. You're good at the predictions. I'm good at these drafts. It's just how it works.
Nope.
And it was my turn to pick. And since we are a week away from Thanksgiving, I wanted to get this. This is going to be a more of a sentimental, personal list, if you will. But these are the players we are thankful for, which is still funny because I thought it was going to be personal and just going to be completely opposite. And I still stole your pick.
You did. And we'll get to it here in a second.
Yes.
We'll talk to it
But-
because there's a reason behind it.
But I got to pick the draft. That means you get the first pick.
So for me, and you knew I was going this way, and you told me I could have waited, but
Yes.
there's just
zero
something
chance
about it.
I ever take it. But I understand why you put him first.
And I'm going to take Edgar Martinez.
Okay.
And I could say the entire 95 Seattle Mariners.
Mhm.
They saved baseball in Seattle.
Yes.
Bottom line, they saved baseball because they were talking moving them on, and you even laughed about it. Well, welcome to Oklahoma City Mariners,
Oklahoma City Lightning.
or Lightning, or
The Oklahoma City Thunder.
right. So, Edgar Martinez hitting that double. Those guys coming back to
The Oklahoma City Guardians.
the Cleveland baseball team.
Yes.
But no, I mean what they did in that 95 season to come back and just to make the playoffs. And yes, they knocked off your Yankees, but they lose to Cleveland.
Yeah, way to blow.
But what they did for a city that was starting to change, that was all about football and all that, they saved it there. So my first pick, it was Edgar Martinez. No doubt.
I get why it's the number one pick. I mean, if you had other ones that you thought I might take, I would have bumped that down. But I get it. And it's the same thing with me because I knew you weren't going to take this one. It was Derek Jeter. And you could say the late 90s Yankees as well. Basically, because they're the only team that's ever given me a championship. And they gave me a lot. I was a very spoiled sports fan there in the late 90s, early 2000s. Still, to this day, the Yankees have won one World Series since 2001. And everyone just thinks, oh, they just win championships. And that's all they do is win. And we're so tired of the Yankees winning. We won one. The Yankees have won one championship in 2009, and that's it. But everyone just is thinking of 27 championships. And yes, Yankee fans will throw that as an excuse
that number out
all the time. But it's because it's been stuck at 27 for so long. But again, that run of 96, 98, 99, 2000, just so good. And even making the World Series in 2001, 2003. And just the way Jeter plays. He was so fun to watch. And I loved watching him. So, again, I was thankful for Derek Jeter.
Yeah, I like watching him play, but I think you saying that you talk to any Yankee fan, they talk about 27. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Miami Dolphins. All right, we're perfect. We're perfect. Oh, crack the champagne. I think that's where I lose a little interest in it. But
well, because you keep bringing up 95 Mariners. We made the playoffs.
We did. We made the playoffs. They saved baseball. We beat Jack McDowell.
Give me your second pick.
I went back a few years just because this guy made so many changes in the game, and he really ran. He played hard. He played all the time, and he fought through so many things. I could have said so many different people, but give me number 42.
Mariano Rivera.
No.
I'm so happy.
No.
Oh, what a dude.
Give me Jackie Robinson.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Really think that he changed the way that people looked at baseball from not only just a color of your skin playing, but the way he played and the little amount of money that he did make. He played like it was every game you watched him, and we get to watch the highlight reels. I mean, he just seemed to be going all the time. So I mean, he changed Major League Baseball.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, to me, I think if Jackie Robinson doesn't break the color barrier, somebody was going to. But he was a perfect person to do it. I thought he handled it really, really well. All of the stuff that he had to go through, and just a fantastic player on top of it. So yeah, for somebody that changed, like you said, had your saved baseball in Seattle, Jackie changed baseball to the way we know it now, and that's just awesome to see. Mine was kind of the same aspect, not the same grandiose change, but anybody that knows me, I'm a Jeff Gordon guy. I was a Jeff Gordon guy in the 90s, but I was only a Jeff Gordon guy because of Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt changed NASCAR. He was the reason why NASCAR became popular enough for even to catch my eyes. So I wouldn't have been a Jeff Gordon guy if it wasn't for Dale Earnhardt and me disliking him, obviously, in the 90s because he was the rival of Gordon. But again, he changed NASCAR. And not only once, he changed it twice because obviously his death in 2001, 2003.
2001.
Was it 2001?
Yep.
Yeah. I have to look that back up. But changed NASCAR again with all the safety rules that they went on, and then you get the safer barriers from the Hans device. And so again, the man changed the way that sport has been run multiple times, and just even now, just seeing interviews of him is just insane and crazy. And but yeah, I'm very thankful.
And you took him, and that was my GER because that was where I was going to go with my third pick, because growing up, that was the sport we watched in the house. I mean, Dad loved it. He was a huge Mark Martin fan. Growing up, he would tell me stories about them racing down on the beach down in Florida and all that. So when I started watching with Dad, that was who it was. But we also watched Terry Labonte, Jones. I mean, there are lots of people there, Waltrip, but he just had that look. And so when you see the picture tomorrow on Facebook, it was that classic intimidator look. He just had that look about him. And so I was going to take him with my third pick, and he beat me to it. And I did say I was grr about it because, that was one sport that my family we all kind of watched and that. So good pick, sir. Second round.
Thank you. That got me the win.
So no, I already won with the first one. Ask all the Mariner fans.
All the Mariner fans. All 47 of us.
In my third pick, I'm going to go with the guy that when I started learning about football and looking, and it's part of the reason why I jumped on the Baltimore bandwagon, but Johnny Unitas. I mean, just the way he handled himself, throwing the ball. But at that time, it was Baltimore Colts. So I learned a lot just in the reading the book because, he was played so much earlier in my life, so I never got to see him play. So other than reading in books and watching him transcend what was happening to, at that time, the AFL and what he was doing for those guys there before the merger and when even after the merger. So for me, it has to be Johnny Unitas. And he's one of those quarterbacks, and you'll disagree with me, but I think he's a top 5 quarterback of all time. We can all have this discussion about it. I think
it's an impossible discussion to have because football's so different.
It is. It's so much different. And the same with racing. I mean, things have changed so much over the years. How do you compare the things, So
for sure. So again, I have no problem with any of your picks. Again, this was a personal list on top of it. Anyways, my last pick, it's not going to be popular because nobody knows who it is. And I even put it on there, and you went, who?
That's what I said.
Just because you are a newbie when it comes to Aussie rules. And you've watched this guy play, I'm pretty sure. He plays for the Sydney Swans now. But Buddy Franklin, when my friend got me into Aussie rules years ago, was the big up-and-comer. And if you go watch highlights of Franklin, just a beast out there. Just he looked so much bigger than everyone else around him, and he was more athletic and faster than them. Just the reason why I fell in love with the sport, the reason why I fell in love with the Hawthorne Hawks was Buddy Franklin when he played for Hawthorne. Of course, then you get upset because he took the money and ran, which can't blame him. But he's the reason why I got into Aussie rules, and now because of this show, getting you into Aussie rules, I'm more thankful for Buddy Franklin for getting me into the sport, so I can spread the great word of Aussie rules football to the. I can't say masses. What's the smaller version of masses? The few, the proud. Yeah,
but you introducing it to that gives me another angle that we talked to Wayne, who our buddy Wayne is from Australia, and when we started talking about the idea of Aussie rule, who do I follow, and that talking with him, I mean that introduced him and I having a new conversation. Same with Eric Watkins. I mean, now I've been able to talk with Eric about certain things, and a new guy I met through you, and just being able to talk something totally different that is new. I mean, we have to grow, and I think that's a huge thing. So hats off. So
for sure, and that's the one thing that we try to do on this show is to spread out to different sports. We only have 2 hours, and then we get into crazy football discussions like everyone else, and we run out of time so fast. But we're trying to get the word out to all these other sports, and we had our guest on, and Heidi was talking about WNBA, and I'd love to try to get more into WNBA, but there's only 24 hours in a day, and I feel like I need 10 more just to get through my normal day stuff on top of watching all this other stuff. But there's so much out there, and I would love to cover more.
And you and I have talked about this, and we haven't talked about how many hours you and I put in on our script that we do and all of our data and all that, because you and I are both pretty much data driven. And one of the teachers I worked with today asked me, because they know on Mondays and Tuesdays I don't sit in the lunchroom and eat lunch with 6 feet away, but I don't sit in the lunchroom and eat with anybody because I'm always down at my desk looking at finishing wrapping up notes, like Noah Syndergaard today. I mean, that was a last minute thing that happened right about time school was getting out. And so I was doing that kind of stuff. But to think about how many hours we put in doing this stuff just because we love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's so many different things. But who would have figured we'd ever get to do an LCSC volleyball game? And now we're so involved. And
I love volleyball. It's just
and having Sean Pullman in here and dealing. I mean, he opens a whole new eye to what's going on. So.
For sure. So there you go. That is our sports-related draft of this week. Players we are thankful for
vote for
Robert.
Vote for Robert.
Edgar Martinez, Jackie Robinson, and Johnny Unitas. For me, it's Derek Jeter, Dale Earnhardt, and Buddy Franklin. Let's get on to the sports that don't get enough airtime. And just like every other radio show, they're not going to get a lot of airtime here because we talk too much. And we just run out of time. I don't know what to tell you. But in the NHL, man, I still wish you would have taken the Kraken in our NHL draft.
Hope I'm okay.
They are definitely struggling right now. 4-10-1 in last place in the Pacific. They've lost their last 4. Definitely not the same success that the Vegas Golden Knights did in their first year. Seattle Kraken just looked like a expansion team. Surprising. The Houston Open, which I'm really disappointed nobody messaged me saying, hey, watch out. Turn this on, please, while I had football on, because usually I have the NASCAR race on, and we didn't have that this week. So I should have turned on the Houston Open. As Joel Dahmen shot a 65 in the final round to finish tied for 5th in that tournament. He had 6 birdies and no bogeys in the final 12 holes. Played absolutely fantastic. Jason, is it Kokrak? Kokrak, there you go. Wins it with a 10 under after he also shot 65 in his final round. So congratulations to Joel for a fantastic Sunday and a good tournament to get a top 5 finish in the PGA event. And we will see where he goes next week. Is the RSM Classic at the Sea Island Resort in St. Simons Island, Georgia.
Yeah, I think that's this weekend, and I think that's the Savannah area, if I remember right. My dad can probably correct me on it because relatives all over there. I believe that's in the Savannah area. So
a couple score updates for you right now as the Mac Attack is going on a Tuesday. We always love it. Eastern Michigan is in a tight one with Western Michigan right now, 22-21 with 2:45 to go in the fourth quarter. Miami of Ohio is crushing Bowling Green 34-7, and Toledo has already beaten Ohio 35-23. Some college basketball scores. Michigan and Seton Hall are in a close one. Number 4 Michigan is winning 57-54 with just over 5 minutes to go. Number 12 Oregon at home against BYU. 53 seconds to go in the first half there, Robert. It's 37-15.
That's just crazy.
BYU.
Wow.
BYU is crushing Oregon at the moment. Other than that, it looks like all of the top-seeded teams stayed on top for the men. Looking through the women's stuff right now, it looks similar. It looks like all the ranked teams are taking care of business there. All right. It is now that time, sir, for this week in sports history. And then I have a trivia question for you, too, this week.
All right. This week in sports history from the 10th of November through the 16th, Gordie Howe back in 1964 of the Detroit Red Wings becomes NHL's all-time leading goal scorer with 627 career goals. He does finish his career second with 801. 1990, Magic Johnson is the second guard in NBA history after Oscar Robertson to record 9,000 career assists. Oscar finishes his career in 7th place, just under 10,000. Magic at just over 10,006. 2002, Jerry Rice, then playing for the Raiders, becomes the first NFL player to score 200 career touchdowns after catching a TD pass from Rich Gannon. Who would have figured Rich Gannon would be part of this show? 2016, San Diego Chargers, Phillip Rivers becomes the 9th passer to throw for 300 career touchdowns. Let's see, well, a couple others here. Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski becomes the first coach to win. Coach K, yeah. In men's history to win 1,000 games at one school. And 2017, Louisville quarterback Lamar Jackson becomes the first quarterback in NCAA football history to have 2 seasons with 1,000 yards rushing and 3,000 yards passing. And last but not least, 2019, former Houston Astros pitcher Mike Fiers reveals that the team stole signs via camera, and he let the cat out of the bag.
And our boy John Boy became super popular.
Yes, he did.
He found the footage.
All right, sir.
Sarah,
I'm hoping you go with the NBA one.
I'm hoping you would go with the pre-show one again.
No.
I nailed that so fast.
So do you want NFL, do you want hockey, or do you want NBA?
You wanted me to
Yes,
pick
I do.
NBA? Sure, go.
Okay. Who holds the most assists in NBA history?
Stockton.
He does. The only reason I did that is because, Sam's playing for LCSC now. So shout out to Sam playing.
I overthought that for a second.
Yeah. John Stockton had over 15,806. Jason Kidd, second at 12,000. Chris Paul, the only active member right now, he's at 10,400. So hopefully Sam might be listening. Tell Dad to come on the show. Tell Dad to come down, game weekend. Come on the R&R show.
That's not happening.
Well,
All right, my trivia question to you.
All right.
Because you brought it up earlier.
The answer is false.
That's incorrect. You lose.
Okay.
So, now all of a sudden I can't talk. I'm out of water, too.
I did look a minute ago. The golf tournament is in Brunswick, so not very far from where my dad grew up in Valdosta and area. So.
All right. So Louisville retired. Lamar Jackson's number 8.
Number 8.
Only the second number ever.
Oh God.
To be retired from Louisville.
I know this name.
The other number that has been retired from the Louisville.
He actually called and told he's still living. He actually called and talked to Lamar, and they were talking about, oh my God, I remember this from Thursday night after I watched the highlights of it. Why am I drawing blank? I'm gonna run out of time.
Need something. It's not good radio.
I'm drawing a blank. I just
you,
watched
sir,
it.
have just lost your sports-related draft because it is Johnny Unitas. Johnny Unitas and his number 16
I didn't remember it.
was retired back
That's not
in
who I was thinking.
2003.
That's not who I was thinking.
So there you go. You're not that thankful for Johnny
Yeah,
I guess, apparently.
Shout out, yeah.
Yes.
Shout out really quick before we go into closing. And
hold on. A correct shout out, not throwing her under the bus before giving the shout out.
She's already messaged me, said she was getting ready to head to bed, so I don't know if she's still listening or not. But shout out to my wife of 23 years. Her birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday. I'm not going to say how old she is. She is still older than I am. That's all that matters. She's still older than I am.
And you wonder why her favorite birthday gift that you give her every year is just leaving her alone for a weekend.
Well, yeah, she's actually going to go up and watch the fights on Thursday night up at Worley. She's going to watch the MMAs and all that. So happy birthday to Denise.
Happy birthday.
So 29 again. We'll just leave it at that.
Sure. We will definitely.
I don't want to get in trouble.
No.
I'm already gonna get in trouble if she heard the comment about the toilet paper. So
if she hadn't, I'll just mess
if not, I was gonna say if not, Haley probably already has.
Or your parents.
Yeah. I'm dead either way.
Yep.
Whatever.
It's just over. All right, that's gonna do it for this week's episode of the R&R Sports Report. Definitely go, like Heidi did, and go follow us on Facebook at the R&R Sports Report. You can get our power rankings every Tuesday. You can get our draft that we do on the show and vote on that on Wednesdays. And then you can get our pick'ems on Thursdays as they are right now. Next week, we're still
3 games we're going to pick next Thursday.
Oh, yeah. We got 3 games we're going to have to do there for those on the show. Next week will be our 60th episode. We're still not 100% sure the details on it. I will say right now we will not be in studio for it. It will be a Facebook and YouTube only show. So again, if you're not following us yet, go do that now. If you are listening on the radio, because we will not be here next week as campus is on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
But we will still do a show in some form or fashion. Still trying to figure out details on that. We kind of talked about it.
I think we just lay back. Let's talk about football. Let's talk about get some of our buddies on and have a good time.
Yeah,
and
I think it will be a less
teams.
formatted show, and we'll have some fun with it. We'll figure something out, see who's available to come on Tuesday, and
we'll just throw it out to anybody. I'll send a code. Here you go. Come on, Doof. Come on, whoever. Eric, get Eric on there. Get Brian on there.
Yeah, we will see what we can do for sure. But that is it for this week. If you do not join us next week, have a wonderful Thanksgiving week next week, and hopefully you get all the good food. I know we will. And the one good thing about hosting it is we get all the leftovers this year. So that'll be the one positive for being able to have to deep clean our whole dang house.
Haley already said followed, so she's already set up and ready to go.
I hope so. All right, that's it. We're going to try to figure out this tech stuff. We're out of here. That's Robert. I'm Randy, and we are out.
Later, guys.